They lived with God. Life stories of some devotees of Sri Ramakrishna by Swami CHETANANDA. Chapter 10. Chunilal Basu. What is needed in spiritual life? Longing for God. And this longing does not dawn in the heart until the desire for worldly enjoyment ceases. One might have plenty of money, a luxurious home, vast property. One might have a beautiful wife or a handsome husband, wonderful children, good friends and relatives. One might have excellent health, handsome looks, erudition, name and fame, power and position. But everyone realizes sooner or later that these material possessions and personal qualities and relationships do not last. It is a wise person who seeks that which is eternal, who seeks God. Chunilal Basu was born in Bagh Bazar, North Calcutta in 1849. After completing school at the age of 22, he secured a job at the Calcutta Corporation. Chunilal had a wife and children, yet he still felt an emptiness within. Whenever he had the time and opportunity, he would visit monks and other holy people. Once in a while, he would sit on the bank of the Ganges simply to enjoy the sacred river's pure and serene atmosphere. Chunilal was searching desperately for something or someone. One day, one of his colleagues, who was aware of his state of mind, said, "If you want to meet a real holy man, go to Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa at the Kali temple of Rani Rasmani." Then he told Chunilal that the temple garden of Dakshineshwar was on the banks of the Ganges and that one could go there by boat from Calcutta. A couple of weeks later, on a Sunday afternoon, probably in March 1881, Chunilal left for Dakshineshwar by boat. Anxious about journeying to an unknown place, he landed at the Dakshineshwar Ghat and wandered around until he met a brahmachari in a cottage who asked him, "What do you want? Medicine?" "No, I have come to see the Paramahamsa," replied Chunilal. The brahmachari pointed to a room and said, "There is a Paramahamsa in that corner room." Chunilal went to the door of the northern veranda and saw someone alone in the room. Entering, he saluted the master, Sri Ramakrishna, asked, "Why are you here?" "I have come to see you," answered Chunilal. The master asked him to sit on a bench to the north of his cot. Then he began to get acquainted with Chunilal, asking him many questions, treating him as his own. On that day, Sri Ramakrishna did not talk about devotion or renunciation. The master simply gave Chunilal a piece of rock candy as prasad when he was ready to return to Calcutta. Under the grip of a restless mind, Chunilal decided to visit the holy cities of Varanasi, Vrindavan, Haridwar. Also, he wanted to live for some time in Rishikesh, a place for hermits in the Himalayas. One of Chunilal's friends, who was familiar with those places, expressed a desire to join him. Taking his March salary and 200 rupees from home, Chunilal submitted an application for a 1-month leave from his job and left Calcutta without telling anyone. Chunilal and his friend travelled for nearly 2 weeks, visiting several places on the way. But Chunilal found the aimless wanderings not to his liking, so he left his friend and went to Rishikesh. After discovering, however, that Rishikesh was only for mendicants, Chunilal's pseudo-renunciation died down within a few days, and he returned home before the month was over. When Chunilal reported back to his office, the superintendent informed him that he had been discharged for leaving work without permission. But Chunilal was mentally prepared for this. He went to a friend of his, Shyam Biswas, the vice chairman of the corporation, and told him the whole story. The executive overruled the superintendent's decision and reappointed Chunilal to his post, allowing him 1 month's leave without pay. A few days later, Chunilal returned to Dakshineshwar. This time, in Sri Ramakrishna's room, he met Balaram Basu, his next-door neighbor. Chunilal previously had no occasion to talk with Balaram, who was a wealthy aristocrat. Sri Ramakrishna brought them together by telling Balaram, "Chunilal lives very close to your house. Whenever you come, please bring him along with you." Almost every Sunday, Balaram would hire a boat and accompany the Calcutta devotees when they visited the Master. In this way, traveling to and from Dakshineshwar, Balaram and Chunilal became good friends. Chunilal was not well to do, and whenever he was sick or in need, Balaram stepped forward to help him. This made Chunilal's neighbors jealous, and they taunted him by calling him a snob. But he paid no attention to their criticism. Before he met Sri Ramakrishna, Chunilal had received initiation from his family guru, and he used to practice yoga according to the Shiva Samhita, an authoritative text on spiritual life. He continued his yoga, sadhana, yoga disciplines, eating vegetarian food and secretly practicing pranayama in a secluded place, even after meeting the Master. Chunilal did not realize that it was a dangerous practice to practice pranayama without the help of a guru, and gradually he developed various kinds of physical ailments, including asthma, which prevented him from visiting the Master for some time. One day, when he felt a little better, Chunilal went to Dakshineshwar alone. No one else was in the Master's room, and seeing him, Sri Ramakrishna said immediately, "Why do you practice all those things? You are a householder. The yoga sadhana is not for you. Have faith and love for God. When you return home, please take 3 doses of medicine from Brahmachari Gopal and never again practice pranayama." Hearing these words of the Master, Chunilal was dumbfounded because no one knew that he had been practicing intense yoga sadhana or that it was the cause of his illness. Later, he was even more amazed when he recovered from the ailment after taking the 3 doses of medicine. From then on, Chunilal had complete faith in the Master as an avatar. Chunilal was eager to serve the Master, but his poverty was an obstacle. Seeing his mental agony, Sri Ramakrishna said to him, "My hand becomes paralyzed if I touch anything metallic. Why don't you buy a regular glass for me?" Delighted, Chunilal bought him one. According to orthodox Hinduism, a non-Brahmin should not utter the pranava mantra, Om, unless he is initiated. So this also was a source of great mental affliction for Chunilal. But Sri Ramakrishna consoled him by saying, "It is enough to repeat any name of God. There is no need to utter the pranava mantra." From that time on, Chunilal followed the spiritual instructions of the Master and practiced japa and meditation accordingly. Chunilal's wife was also a devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. Once, when she was suffering from stomach trouble, Chunilal decided to give her a change of climate. He took her on a pilgrimage to Vrindavan, where they stayed at Balaram's retreat house. Gauri Ma was then living at that holy place, and she showed them around. Later, Swami Brahmananda and Balaram, along with his wife, joined them. After some time, Chunilal returned to Calcutta alone, leaving his wife in Vrindavan. On 21 September 1884, he went to Dakshineshwar to tell the Master about his pilgrimage. There are many entries in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna regarding Chunilal's visit to the Master. As he was a self-effacing, humble devotee, he always tried to remain in the background as a spectator at these gatherings of devotees. Sri Ramakrishna had a high opinion of Chunilal. On 9 August 1885, the Master revealed one of his experiences to the devotees, saying, "I had a vision of the indivisible Satchidananda. Inside it, I saw two groups of people with a fence between them. On one side were Kedar, Chuni, and other devotees who believe in the personal God. On the other side was a luminous space like a heap of red brick dust. Inside it was seated Narendra, immersed in samadhi." On 23rd December 1885, Sri Ramakrishna said, "Chuni's spiritual consciousness has been awakened by frequent visits to me. Once, out of compassion, the Master even visited his home." On 1st January 1886, Sri Ramakrishna became a kalpataru, a wish-fulfilling tree, and blessed many devotees on the lawn of the Koshipur garden house and lifted their souls up to a higher realm of consciousness. The Master was then suffering from cancer, and moreover, because he had taken on the bad karma of the devotees, he was in much pain. He returned to his room to rest, and Swami Niranjanananda took the responsibility of being a gatekeeper so that no one should disturb him. Chunilal arrived at Koshipur late that afternoon and heard the whole story. He was sad, felt unfortunate that he had not received the Master's blessings that day. Swami Vivekananda, who was a close friend of Chunilal, told him privately, "The Master will not live long. If you have anything to ask, please go right now to the Master." Chunilal knew that it was impossible to get past Niranjanananda Swami. So he waited for an opportunity. As soon as Swami Niranjanananda left his post on some urgent business, Swami Vivekananda advised Chunilal to go upstairs to the Master. Seeing Chunilal, Sri Ramakrishna asked, "What do you want?" Chunilal could not say a single word. Then the Master said, "Have love, have faith in this place," pointing to his body. you will also achieve everything. Excited, Chunilal went downstairs and related the Master's words to Swami Vivekananda, who said, "Wonderful! You have nothing more to fear or worry about." Those few words of the Master became the mainstay of Chunilal's life. After Sri Ramakrishna passed away, Chunilal kept in close contact with the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. As a token of their friendship, Swami Vivekananda used to call him Narayana. And he helped Chunilal by sending him money while he was in America. Throughout his life, Chunilal remained a faithful